Good morning, everyone. From who doesn't know who I am, I'm Audrie Poll. I'm your lay reader for today. As Unique has led us to do, I would like us to say, God is good. All the time. All the time? God is good. God is good? All the time. All the time? God is good. As we know, the land that this church stands on has been given to us by God. And as God's children, we are called to be good stewards of this land. For many years, this land has been stewarded by our brothers and sisters of the Chocolate First Nations, and we take this time to thank them for their good stewardship. Much of the same as we would honor in other countries, such as the USA, Russia, or our fellow Canadians of Quebec at a hockey game by singing their national anthem in their native language. We take this time to honor the First Nations in their native tongue. As we offer to respect to the land on which we gather this morning, we acknowledge the traditional territories of the Nunavut and First Nations.
Guide me through my day. Wee Kasa. Ayeth Lucas. Keep my family well. Shaha. Suk Neith.
Gotta get past that screen.
Wasuk Aha. Nashat. Protect my surroundings. Shoot. Amen. Clever.
Turn the button up.
Okay?
There you go.
Okay. It's now time for announcements. Has anyone got anything they'd like to say today? Sandra does. Carol. Lois. Mike. Okay, this should be all. I should do it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Sandra, and good morning. The painting of the hall is done, and I'd like to thank all the people that worked for 3 days, and they had the Jane Austen due a few days later, so it was awesome. Lois, me, Bill, Hans, Marilyn and Carol on coffee and muffins, Gary, Bruce, yeah, thank you, Bruce. Who else? Hans, Gaisler, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. It looks beautiful. Go check it if you haven't seen it.
Good morning, I'm Carol Corbin. I just wanted to tell you about a really upbeat moment I had on Friday morning when I was coming to church. I walked from my car carrying things in, and there were some Pride folks out front taking pictures of the flags, and they had a flag. And I thought, oh, that's kind of neat. And then I came in, and the cultural group was doing their thing in the gym. And I was part of a group that was doing a tea in the afternoon for a community member that's not a member of our church. And I just thought, what a big deal this is. We are doing things right at this church. We're serving the community, and it was a really proud moment. I was happy about the things that are going on here. I think we're doing the right thing. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone that helped with the tea for Jack Buffy on Friday afternoon. The service was at Chapel of Memories, and there was a big group of people that came to the church. There were wonderful workers, both men and women, and I thank you very much for all your help.
Hi, excuse me, I'm Lois Ando, and just to follow up what Carol had said, Dennis and I had the occasion to be with the family after the service on Friday, the Buffy family, and they wanted me to also express their gratitude. They were overwhelmed that we would go to such lengths to put on such beautiful tea when they're not regular members of this congregation, and ask that I extend another thank you to all of you.
Good morning, I'm Mike Villette, and I want to, this is now show and tell. Look what I made, I can't believe. Of course, I didn't do it by myself. I had lots of help from people at the cultural event this week. I also did this. I made a rope out of cedar, can you believe that? And I made a rose. That's about the 8th attempt, so don't criticize my rose. It's a beautiful rose. Joy to behold and beauty. So it has something actually from, I think it's from Dana that she'd like me to read. The church was host to the first Nations Cultural Camp, Everything is One, Hishukish Sawak, this past week. A small group led by Deb Matsu, Brenda West, and Dana Walter. They enjoyed making drums, cedar rope, and roses, learned some Nuu-Chah language. Well, I think the kids learned most of the Nuu-Chah language. For people like me, it kind of melted like snow as soon as I heard the words, but I'm still trying. It was a great learning experience. You can see some of the creations from the camp at the front of the church. We made those beautiful banners up there and the posters, Everything is One. Pictures, there's some pictures on Facebook right now, and I guess they're going to put together a bulletin board at some later date. And Dana would just like to say thank you to the ABC congregation for hosting this camp. It was pretty amazing for people that were there. And if we do it again, you don't want to miss it. It was great.
Excuse me, Mike, we didn't have announcements last week. Could you speak to the kids' trip to Banfield too?
Oh, yeah, go on Facebook and check out all the pictures from Banfield. What am I going to say about that? Except that we had a blast. We were 20 people in a great big house on the west side of Banfield. We took numerous boat taxis across the inlet there, and made a friend, Mark, Taxi Mark, and his dog Biff. It was a highlight of the trip. We climbed a lot of hills. We saw fantastic musicians play. I sat 2 feet away from PJ Perry, so a highlight for me. We went to an amazing cultural event at the Huayet Center, and we played this beautiful hollow log drum. I didn't actually play it, I was too chicken, but the kids went up and played it and had a wonderful time there. It was amazing, and I think we're going to try to go again next year. So again, you don't want to miss it. George was there briefly. He was on the ferry on the way back, so that was fun too. Also, what do we need to say about the Pride Barbecue? We have people making cupcakes. Thank you for making cupcakes. Where do we want them to go and be? So if you have cupcakes, you could bring them to the church on Friday. And if that's not convenient, you could also just take them to the park Saturday morning. If they're there sort of 10-ish, we'll probably have the pop-up and the table ready to construct the rainbow. And we have a plan for that. You don't have to worry about icing, and you don't have to worry about sprinkles or rainbows. You just have to get the cupcake to the church or the park. Okay. And yeah, come out and help. I think we have some trucks come to deliver things, but if somebody is going to be available on Saturday morning to deliver tables, and we have staging to come from ADSS, and things for the silent auction, and probably a whole bunch of things I can't remember. So if you're available with a truck or a trailer to help with that on next Saturday morning, that would be wonderful. It's going to be big. We don't know, there might be 12 people there, there might be 4,000. We're hoping for 4,000. Thank you.
And at this time, I know that we had a birthday last week, and was your birthday. Was there any more birthdays this last couple of weeks or coming up this week? Yes?
On Wednesday it was my birthday,
Uh-huh.
and on Friday, Alana and Sergio had a little girl.
Oh, lovely. Oh, great. Anniversaries? Okay, I guess we can sing. Can I have some of the kids come up here and help me sing? Because that really isn't my forte. Gonna come help sing? No? Okay, here we go. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Well, gets better.
Bless you and keep you the coming year through. Thank you. Now, as we start the next hymn, which will be coming up, which is Give to Us Laughter, could I please have the children all come up for a children's story, if you don't mind? Technology is always interesting. Sorry guys, I guess I got this out of order again, but we will just step ahead and do the children's story. Okay? Everybody knows what this is. What is it? Okay, if you all had, if we pretended this was our church family, okay? Let's pretend. And the motor, we're going to say is God, because that's what keeps us going. Now the windshield, I would say possibly is Reverend Minnie, because she helps us to understand so much. The tires, I'm going to say those are the fundraising people who keep the money coming in and work so hard.
Okay, we're gonna be.
I'm going to say that the radio could be our music, but more than the radio, I think also the system that makes us go in the right area, and would be also the choir. The radio would do that too. And also, well, what else do we have? Who else do we have that works in our church? How about the Sunday school teachers? I think that they could be the steering wheel. And how about the ladies who come and do all the work in the kitchen? They do an awful lot for us, don't they? And I guess they could maybe be the seats. What was that?
I don't know.
The cup holders, the people who do serve the communion. What would that be? Would that be the headlights?
Okay, so what would happen, so that's all a church, that's all our church family, and that's why every part of that has to make it so that this car can run, right? What would happen if we lost one part of our church family? What would happen to this car if the tires fell off? Okay, right, it would move. What would happen if all of a sudden the windshield was all cracked and you couldn't see out of it? Be pretty hard to drive, wouldn't it? Yeah. What would happen if the radio quit and so did the system that made your GPS that I use to get everywhere? What would happen if that quit?
It would be very peaceful.
And we wouldn't go anywhere. Yeah. So what is showing in a family, it is very important to remember in our church family, the same as a car and as your family at home, everyone is important, and we really have to honor that everyone has a different job, and every job is just as important as the next person. Okay? Okay, thanks. You want to go back and play back? That would be great. Thanks. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, I seen I missed you out. Can we go back to the call of worship, please? We come to worship the invisible God, made visible in our world by our Jesus. We come to worship God, we come to worship the God who made us and loves us always. We come to worship God, present in our world and in our lives. We come to worship the God who calls us sometimes to do and other times to sit and listen. We come to worship God, present in our world and in our lives. Come, friends, and let us worship. Come into our lives, Jesus. Help us to be faithful listeners. Help us to be faithful servants. In all that we do, may we welcome you and serve you as disciples. Amen.
Okay, music.
May we start with the hymn, Draw the Circle of God.
Still warming up the
I messed everything up earlier. I'm going to have Carol come up and do the readings now, please.
Let us listen to the Word of God. The first reading is from Genesis chapter 18, verses 1 to 10. A son promised to Abraham and Sarah, a story we're all familiar with. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the entrance of his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent entrance to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I find favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Let me bring a little bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant." So they said, "Do as you have said." And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, "Make ready quickly 3 measures of choice flour. Knead it and make cakes." Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to the servant who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There in the tent." Then one said, "I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." And Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. A Psalm of David. O Lord, who may abide in your tent? Who may dwell on your holy hill? Those who walk blamelessly and do what is right, and speak the truth from their heart, who do not slander with their tongue, and do no evil to their friends, nor take up a reproach against their neighbors, in whose eyes the wicked are despised, but who honor those who fear the Lord, who stand by their oath, even to their hurt, who do not lend money at interest, and do not take a bribe against the innocent. Those who do these things shall never be moved. And the New Testament reading is from Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42. Jesus visits Martha and Mary. Now as they went on their way, he entered a certain village, where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks, so she came to him and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." May we listen to what the Spirit is saying. Amen.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord. Family dynamics. In my family, I have many Marys and many Marthas, and understanding each other is often very difficult. In God's family, I believe we all try to do God's word and do the best what we are called to do. Do we always understand everybody else's actions? No. I grew up in a small town, Saskatchewan. As Jim, my husband, says, there was 500 people in Arcola, and they were all related to me except for one man who was the local RCMP member. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not much. My mom was a registered nurse and a great mom. In my years before I was 10 or 11, I had many memories of the phone ringing and Mom running out the door and for an ambulance call. And my brothers and I would all be standing there going, okay, whose turn is it to make supper this time? Mom's gone. Or the days that we knew Mom just wouldn't be home because she was specialing somebody at the hospital. And my mom loved her calling. She really did. My mom was called Auntie Jen to everyone in town. Our family was lucky enough to have a holiday cabin. So all summer long, the cabin was full of extra children. Anyone wanting to take swimming lessons or have a holiday was always welcome. To my mom, there was always room for one more in our home. My cousin Wendy said to me once, she loved to come to our house. It was always dirty. The dust bunnies everywhere. And it was so much fun with all my brothers. I may interject, I don't remember Mom's housekeeping being that bad. I really don't. My mom was a Mary, a caregiver. My mom's faith was a quiet faith, and she always did her best to live as God would want her to do. In my early teens, my mom started to change. She would cry and lay on the couch for months. Her fit would begin to drag when she was walking, and she really just didn't cope with life. Then we'd have a reprieve, and Mom would be back for a few months. Then the cycle would start all over again. For many years, it was thought that she was having strokes, or maybe it was a change, like who knows. But she was finally diagnosed with a disease called cerebral MS, which I have been told is one of the cruelest types of MS. My mom spent 25 years in a care home before she passed away. All of her care workers said she was always a gentle lady and never complained. Well, in my teens, with Mom still at home, because Mom did not go into the care home until after I left home, I had many Marys and Marthas, whom were all my mom's friends, stepped in to raise my younger brother and I. First, there was my Aunt Mary, my mom's sister, a definite Martha, with the biggest heart ever known. Her face has carried her through many hard times, more than I can imagine. My family teases her often, saying that, you remember the show Maude when we were all younger? Well, that was my Auntie Mary. She taught Sunday school, my Explorer group, drove all the kids in band, including me, all over Saskatchewan, and also sat on every committee, from church council to town council. She also had the cleanest house in town. During some of my very troubled years as a teenager, she was the one who gave the best advice. My auntie loved me unconditionally, and still does. Then there was Kitty. I believe she was a Mary, and she was my mom's best friend and our next door neighbor. What a classy lady, always dressed perfectly. Putting your best foot forward was always so important. Kitty always had the time to listen and cared for everyone deeply. But believe me, there was no skipping school with Kitty living next door. And if we forgot to change Mom's bedding or forgot to get Mom her dinner, we were in serious trouble if she found out. Kitty always added a little class wherever it was needed. While planning my wedding, Kitty was the one who stepped in, and things like, Audrey, did you remember that you're supposed to have a luncheon at the dance? No. She's the one that stepped in. She fixed and handled my wedding greatly. Witnessing her strong relationship with God as she endured many years of illness taught me the importance of a strong relationship with God. She had a great heart and was never afraid to stand up for the underdog. Never. Or if she thought something you were wrong and she was right, she told you. Then there was Mrs. Garner, my choir instructor. She was also the minister's wife, a lady through and through who carried me through many troubles. And then there was Mrs. Anderson and Mrs. Harvey and many of the other church ladies who all said, okay, Audrey, it's time for you to turn in the dish pan in the kitchen. We just had the fall supper, we did whatever. They taught me many things. Many of these ladies were all my mother's friends, and they always took time for my brother and I. My 3 older brothers had already left home, so it was just my younger brother, AJ, and I at home. I don't know if these ladies knew how important they were to a struggling teenager, but all these ladies, every Mary and every Martha, were important in my life. They all had different gifts, and I loved them all. I know that I am a Martha and a Mary wannabe. I do not like standing in line. I am a very impatient person. I want to just get the job done. A few weeks ago, I was standing in line waiting. Did I say I don't like standing in line? Anyway, I witnessed the kindest gesture that set me back abruptly, and I was told in no uncertain terms to get over myself and pull up my socks. A gentleman whom obviously struggling with life was standing in a bank teller. I stood in awe as I watched this teller carefully walk this man through all of his business, paying his bills, reminding him of needing money for his groceries that week, and at all times treated him with the greatest respect. This woman took the time for this man where many others would not have. This woman was a Mary, and suddenly my struggles with standing in line weren't so great. Part of Luke 10, verses 41 and 42 says, "You are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. And that is to listen to what God is telling us to do." How many times do we get bogged down with the have-tos and to forget what is important? My hopes and prayers for everyone today are that we can take the time to appreciate all of our family guests, whether they are Marys or Marthas, and that we can hear what God is telling us to do. Thank you.
Are you a Mary or a Martha?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Ms. Nell, will you take time to share our gifts, please?
God, the Creator, Jesus, the Teacher, and the Spirit of life are with you. Go in peace with all of others who seek to make a life-giving difference. Amen. May it be so. And I'll sing with your anchor hold.